You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day. Let's go!
And he is dicked.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wool Dog, sitting with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
TGIF, am I right, boys?
Am I right? Can I get an amen? And Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
Classic Kevin interrupting my introduction.
Great restaurant.
Just the life of a little brother.
Yeah.
Always got to pipe up. All right. Well, folks, welcome back to another Friday episode of Charger Chat. Lots of great stuff to talk about today. Another solid interview from my man, Hug and Duggan. It's going to be,
it's a good one, guys. I was like shocked that he even said yes to it. So I'm just thrilled that
I was nervous for Kevin when he told us that he was doing the interview. I was like,
I know,
oh man, I'm going to shit my pants just knowing you're on the phone with this person.
I was sitting here just waiting for him to pop up like, oh shit, I'm about to talk to Shawne Merriman. Oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But he's awesome.
He's going to be here any minute.
A framed, like signed picture of him in my parents' like Chargers themed bathroom. I see it every time I go over there. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, the water closet. But that's the only room my dad's allowed to have his Chargers memorabilia in, apparently. But that's where it is. And it was crazy because Kevin said he was talking to him. And I went over there and I was using the washroom. And I looked over like, holy shit, that's Shawne Merriman. Kevin's on a Zoom with Shawne Merriman right now. This is insane.
Yeah, I'm glad they made it the bathroom, the Charger shrine, because that's really where I feel the most comfortable.
Yeah, and where you get to be alone, away from the kids, and you get to enjoy
time your thoughts.
You know, yeah,
just relax,
hang out with Shawne Merriman, and I got to hang out with him in person and not just in the water closet.
So, you've been in Europe too long, dude.
I know, dude.
The water closet. Work. So yeah, folks, it's an awesome interview. It's a spicy one indeed, no doubt. But before we get to any of that, news came out. The new NFL helmet rule is coming into effect. It's basically allowing teams to have more than one helmet, like an alternate helmet, from like the coloring. The reason why this rule was put in place was for the safety reasons, as NFL was dealing with the concussion crisis and focusing on improving the quality of helmets. The league decided it would be safer if players were not switching helmets during the season. So there's that. The NFL is scrapping its one helmet rule starting in 2022, saying in a memo obtained by The Atlantic on Thursday that teams will be permitted to wear alternate color helmets for the first time in a decade. Wow.
I'm excited about this. Like, I love the white because it goes with everything, but like to get like, I don't know, navy back, like
those
the LT
90s navy helmets.
Yeah.
Or who knows, maybe a powder blue helmet. I don't know if it has to be already used before. You can use a new one, but this is exciting.
It is exciting. Cool. Yeah. Apparently the rule was established in 2013 to improve player safety, requiring teams to have only one helmet color so players would practice and play in the same helmet. While teams will now be allowed a second set of helmets, they must be the same make, model, and size as the player's primary helmet. The rule change opens up throwback jersey options for teams across the league whose modern helmet color is different from older uniforms. So my man Hug and Duggan here just sent us some samples of all the previous Charger uniforms and the helmets associated with them. And
so let's pick one. So we got 66, which is very old school. We got 74, which is like the Fouts era. We got like the 80s and 90s kind of blur together. It's the navy helmet with the white bolt. And then, those are the kind of the main ones that we could bring back. So go. Which one do you want?
I want the 90s. I love that navy helmet with the white bolt. I don't know. That's just like nostalgic for me. The other ones are like cool old school ones, but I wasn't even alive when they were wearing those. So I like the 90s ones. It just reminds me of, like, I don't know, just so many fun times, like LT just killing it in those jerseys. I like the 90s Navy.
Yeah, I like them all for different reasons. Like, I've already seen on Twitter, I think Charger Swap or Jersey Swap is made some mocks of like the all Navy color rush with a Navy helmet.
Navy
like that
helmet.
is so
it's pretty sweet.
slick.
And it's cool because we don't have any Navy in our jersey now.
Not at all.
They removed all
just
of
in
it.
that
So
color
that's kind of
rush,
a fun
that's the
throwback
only
now.
time it shows up. So I like that for that combo. I mean, I love the Fouts, the royal blue with the yellow. I mean, if you paired that with the royal blue color rush jerseys, that would be slick. And honestly, like the blue bolt on the old 60s is kind of cool too. Like I one of the hats that I got had the blue bolt in it, and it's like you don't see that very often. It's always yellow or white. So to have the blue bolt, I'm not opposed to it, but that's just another white helmet. So I think if you're going to have an alternate helmet, you got to like make the whole thing like a different color.
Right.
So if I had to choose one, I would say navy as well. I think that's just such a slick, and it's just so different from what we've had.
I'm gonna go with the Fouts era one. I just like those uniforms a lot. Like
I do
really
too,
cool.
dude.
So I'd love to. I will be buying a new jersey if they actually do this, and I can get one of our new players on one of these older jerseys, like retrofitted to now.
You don't need an excuse to buy a new jersey. You're going to buy a new jersey because it's Wednesday.
I don't need an excuse, but it's a good excuse. I know.
You know what? Today's Wednesday. I've never bought a jersey on a Wednesday.
It's jersey buying day.
But it's also kind of cool to see, like, we literally went back to our roots with our new jerseys. Like,
that's true.
The 60s and 70s, like that was really what we went back to. So it's kind of cool to see, going back to the roots.
Yeah. So it's like our current jerseys now are throwback jerseys. So like
pretty much
now you would throw it back to the 90s because the stuff we have now almost looks like that older stuff, which is kind of sad. Hard. Like now my childhood is throwback unis.
I know, guys. Well, and it's kind of crazy too, because like most of the league is like, oh god, this would be awesome because our jerseys are kind of lame. We're kind of like,
our jerseys are kind of lame. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah, like whatever, because we look so sick all the time.
Right. Yeah. You can't make it not look good. So a lot of options are out there on the table. We'll see what happens. We won't see it this year. It'll happen in 2022. So something at least to look forward to for that upcoming season. Not this one, the next one. But until then, folks, let's hold off and go to this spicy interview with Shawne Lights Out Merriman, baby. It's that time. So let's go to it in a lights out dance. 1, 2, 3, go.
Booyah, you doing good?
Your ass is mine. When it ends, you can have it back.
Feels good. Talk to some Charger fans.
Man, are we lucky to have the one and only. All right, guys, we are here with the one and only Shawne Lights Out Merriman. Oh my God, I'm so excited to chat with you. How's it going, Shawne?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
Doing awesome. Doing even better now that get to meet you like this. This is insane. So let's kick it off. We saw something online that you posted a little while back. After the Tim Tebow, the news, him coming back to the NFL, we saw that post that showed you were doing some work. So when are you coming back to the Chargers, man? We're ready. What's going on?
Look, man. I wish. I'm a Ferrari on the outside. I'm like a 1982 Oldsmobile inside. So, it's cool for me. I still can get after it. I still train with a lot of MMA guys. I still keep in good shape. But it's so different, man. When you're around these younger guys, it's just a young man's game, and as much as I would love to come back and play, I probably get a couple plays here and there, but nowhere like I used to go. But it's fun sitting back and watching these guys get after it now.
That's awesome. I would take 1 or 2 plays a game from you. That would be like awesome. I'd take that all day long. So quickly, your post-playing career has been so much fun to watch. Like being really a Chargers ambassador, you're always talking about the team and being supportive of us. And then, with the lights out extreme fighting, like how did MMA come about? You just mentioned it. Like how is that new fight league going?
It's great, man. We're actually coming back August 7th at the Commerce Casino. So hopefully see you guys there, all the listeners out there. You guys are more than welcome. You can get your tickets in the next couple of weeks at lightsoutxf.com. And it's been great, man. But I started training in MMA, like my second year in the league in that off season. And I never thought that I just would pick it up and enjoy the sport. And I would say this, man, just being around fighters are built and wired completely like different than the rest of the world, man. And they're the closest thing you get to being a football player on the field and that same mentality. So I've been around the sport for 15 years now. And I love doing it, man. It keeps me in shape, keeps me disciplined, and keeps me active.
Yeah, it's awesome. We see you hitting the pads and sparring with some pretty awesome guys. So it's so cool you're doing that. It's awesome. So let's jump into some Charger stuff. Like, like your thoughts on the status of the team. Like, we have a new head coach, new stud QB. Like, what are you excited about with this new Chargers roster?
A lot of things, man. I start, from the top, and I think that when they brought in Coach Staley, I think that they made a hell of a pickup. His just attitude and his energy is unmatched. I got a chance to not only talk to him, he called me the night that they first brought him in, and I think he probably reached out to a lot of guys, but I was one of. And we talked on the phone for a good 20 minutes, and you could just hear it in his voice, man. He's fired up, he's ready to go. And look, you don't know how anybody's going to do, right? You can't say, because he has a lot of energy and he's smart and he's all this. He still has to win football games. But from the outside looking in and being able to not only talk to him on the phone and also meet him in person, he's a great leader. He has all the traits of a great leader and a great motivator. And he comes across as a work smarter, not harder type of guy. He's a numbers guy and relies on a lot of data. And, he's young, man. He's fired up. So I think that what's going to happen is it's going to trickle down to the rest of the team. Right, his energy, his what he gives off, and just me getting a chance to go watch them practice a little bit. I think it was early on in their OTAs. Man, they got something special going on down there.
Yeah, I just hear him talk, and I'm ready to run through a wall for him. Like I'm jacked. Like his mic'd up thing they just posted, I was getting pumped. So it's awesome. And more specifically on him, like his defensive scheme seems like he puts guys in the right places. You know what I mean? He gets everybody the matchups and everything. So what do you think that's going to do for our defensive scheme and kind of how we play Charger football?
Well, to be honest, man, one thing I've learned about great coaches is that great coaches will let great players do what they do best, right? So, yes, you got your scheme. You got to do what you're supposed to do, be in the right gaps, make the right plays when your name is called and things like that. But when you have certain individuals, you got to take the leash off. You really do. Because there's only a handful of guys in the NFL who can make certain plays. And that goes from wide receiver, quarterback, linebacker position. It doesn't matter. You got some guys that just freakish players. And to try to tame them and make them do things because that's not what you're accustomed to doing, it showed me that you're not a great coach. So being around him just for that short period of time and getting a chance to talk to him, he understands that he gets it. I'm really excited of what he's going to do with some of the star guys there and let them roam around and make big plays, game-changing plays. And that's what great coaches do.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like the last couple of weeks, like some of the players, they've been asked about the new scheme and stuff, and they kind of gently are talking about the previous scheme and what they were doing and how they didn't feel like they were always put in the right position. So like, what is that? Like hearing that feels weird because we're not used to hearing them be critical of coaches. So what was that like when you heard some of that?
Well, it said a lot, right? Because, being a player, you always got to tread lightly when you're talking about former coaches, right? Because for one, you don't want to throw dirt on anybody's name, but two, you got a long career that you could be playing for that same coach, a couple of years later. You don't know because that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to the NFL. But you start to hear a lot of the same echoes, right? Guys put in a position that they're not supposed to be in. They're forced to do something that they're not that great in. And so when you do that, that's a recipe for disaster. You're taking the greatness of some of these guys and what they do best, you're taking it away and say, I want you to do this because this is what I'm good at. This is the playbook I run. This is what I want you to line up at. That shows me that you're not a great coach. You're just not. And I'm not, no shade on the former coaches who were there. But the energy is different around the organization. The energy is different around the building. The energy is different in just this upcoming season. It feels a lot different. It doesn't feel like, the last couple of seasons when the guys were almost there, or the injuries pile on and just a dark cloud. No, there's a lot of energy in that building right now, and it's a great thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. And specifically on defense, like we finally are getting Derwin James back and he's healthy and he's Derwin James. We haven't seen much of him in his, on his rookie contract. So what do you think he's going to do if he's healthy for us this year? Like how is he going to make us even better?
Outside of Derwin's physical attributes and what he can do physically. He's just an imposing guy. Like, he comes downhill. You can't imagine somebody that big being out in space and moving around and stuff. So just take all the physical part about his game out the way, because he's great at that. He's just a physical specimen. What he does, he's an anchor for that team. He's an anchor for that defense. Derwin consistently communicates. He's talking all the time. He's coaching. He's, going back and forth, lining guys up, getting it. So when you have a presence like that on the field, it blows everything up, because, you take all the smaller parts of a defense and what guys are. Look, you got some guys are just, just some average players. I mean, let's face it. I mean, and I'm not talking about average in NFL. I'm just talking about they're not stud guys. But when you have a guy like Derwin who can line you up, who can motivate you and put guys in position to win because he's constantly communicating on the field, that's special. And to me, personally, that's the biggest part of his game, not the physical play. It's his ability to communicate, to have an impact and have a presence on the field at all point in time.
Absolutely. And on the other side of the ball, presence is being found with our new stud QB, and like the energy around him is infectious. So like, what are your thoughts on Herbert, and how lucky are we honestly to go from Phil to Justin? How crazy is that?
For one, because someone had a big year, I don't want to say, oh, this guy's going to be the greatest thing, because people, especially fans do that a lot. Guys have 6 great games and they're throwing the confetti up, right? This is going to be the next Phillip Rivers. So I don't want to compare that. But when I met Justin Herbert, we just talk about presence. That's the first thing I look at when you're talking about a QB. Before he opens his mouth, anything like that, I watch his demeanor and see, does he command the respect of just people around him, people in the building. And he walks, and you get that right away from Justin Herbert. I mean, before he even said anything. And then the second part of it is, man, that dude is big as hell. Like, you see him, and it's like, man, he's big. He has this, he has this thing about him. It's a quietness. It's a quiet, I wouldn't say a quiet, it's like a quiet confidence, more on the lines of that. Like, he doesn't have to say a whole lot before you like, okay, I respect this guy. And so when you're looking at it that way, and then you start to get to what his playing ability is. And I seen him in person. I said, hold on. I remember when I think it was Denver or something like that. They tried to hit him on the sideline. They got it. They popped him pretty good, and he jumped right back up.
Yeah.
But I remember how fast he was moving. And I saw him in person, and I said, oh, shit. It was my first thing I said in my head. I was, oh, shit. This dude big, and he was out there running like that. So I think that he's just going to corral the team around him, right? Like, he has it in him. And I think that once he starts to come out of his shell and get a little bit more comfortable, with the team and everything that's going on, I believe that, and I don't want to make this comparison because Phil had a long, exceptional career. So I'm not talking about the comparison of the two. Sure. I'm just talking about people should feel comfortable with the passing of the torch from Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert, because he's that guy.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I will admit I am shamelessly positive on him, and I can't help but just get excited about him every time we talk to somebody. So, so it's crazy. So, random kind of question, what do you think about the celebrations and the off the field stuff across all sports nowadays? And specifically, how do you think, to go back a little bit, the Patriots doing the lights out on the Bolts would have played out if it happened today?
The thing is, we all a lot more sensitive about everything, right? I mean, we just are. We're sensitive about taunting. I mean, if you go back, look at college football. I mean, you get a blindside hit or a legal hit, they'll eject you from the game. No warnings, no flags, you're out. So it's a different time and day. Even when that happened, when the Patriots were doing my lights out dance in 2006, it was it pissed me off at the time. But as the years kind of went on, you realize that was a lot of people who have respect for what I did, or else they wouldn't have done it, right? Even when LT and Phillip Rivers and the guys came to my defense, and they had that big, almost a big brawl in the middle of the field over it, and years and years, you got to remove yourself a little bit more so you can really appreciate those times, the players, the teammates that I got an opportunity to play with, and you look back and like, damn, you had a whole damn organization out gunning for you. Okay, you must have been real, impactful in what you did. It's a lot of respect there. So the Patriots still suck. They'll always suck forever. But you look back on it and say, man, you've done something. You made an impact on some people.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's a great way to put it. It's great hindsight on that. I think that's really cool. So my last question for you is like, what was your favorite moment being a Charger? Like something that comes to mind. Like, what was your favorite thing?
So when you're playing out, and I talk about removing yourself from the game a little bit, and you get older and you step away from everything, you don't realize that you're in the same locker room as that many Hall of Famers, right? I mean, potentially 3 or 4 different guys on one team, right? That can probably end up in the Hall of Fame at some point in time. And so just look at the camaraderie in the team and the friendships and the brotherhood that we had. We were so close. And you look on it now and you see like LT getting his jacket, Antonio Gates to get his jacket here coming up shortly in some years. Phillip Rivers going possibly, and hopefully he better get his jacket. And then, you have, like Lorenzo Neal, in my opinion, he's another Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He's a Hall of Famer guy. Again, he's the last of the dying breed at that position. He should be another guy to be a Hall of Fame. So if you look at that, you got 4 guys that you played on one team that end up, and really, because I got a chance to play with Drew Brees, right, at the time too, my rookie year.
Yeah.
So I played with 5 Hall of Famers, man. That's, you look back on it like, man, damn, that was a special time, but you kind of got to get removed from it to kind of to appreciate it just that much more.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, all right, well, thank you so much for your time, Shawne. It was honestly one of the biggest pleasures I've had getting to talk to former player, a huge fan of yours. So thank you so much for coming on, man.
You got it. In Lights Out Extreme Fighting, we're back August 7th at the Commerce Casino. So if you guys look at it, hit me up and watch my social media at Shawne Merriman. August 7th, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. We're back at the Commerce Casino, and we're back in San Diego the following month. So I got something special when we come back home.
All right, can't wait, man. Appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thank you.
Wow, dude, Mr. Shawne Merriman, thank you so much. That was so awesome to see and hear. Thank you so much for sitting down with my man Huggin Duggan. Dude, touched it. Those are some great little tidbits, man. Comparing yourself to a Ferrari on the outside, Oldsmobile on the inside. Hey, we should all be so lucky to look like a Ferrari on the outside, man. But yeah, if we got you in for 1 or 2 plays, that'd be pretty sweet. But I understand you gotta take care of the warranty on the vehicle for sure. That's crazy that Staley reached out to so many ex-players to me. Like that's pretty wild. That seems special. I'm really curious now if how many times that's happened with any other previous coaches to reach out to players that are not even on the team anymore. So the fact that he reached out to Shawne Merriman is something incredibly special. And folks, you're continuing to hear it from multiple people about the changing of the energy, man. Like there is something intangible that we're all feeling right now to be really excited about. Because it is just a different course. Like he said, the players, you need to take the leash off for some of these players to excel and do what they do best. And we're hearing it so much more now from the players that just hasn't been the case in the past. And now that is changing. And if we were limited to how well we could play in the past, and now we are going to have that leash taken off for these further plays, for this further games that we can see, dude, I know it. We haven't seen anything yet, but it's so hard not to be excited for this. So awesome to hear about. Awesome to hear about his thoughts on Derwin as well. The communication, I think, and even Herbert, as far as like, it's about communication. It's about having that demeanor, that energy, that it's surprising a little bit to hear how important that is. But at the same time, it's not just about going out there and playing football. You have to be a leader. You have to conduct yourself. You have to have the right mindset. And to know that we've got that not just in Derwin James, but also Justin Herbert, and you're hearing it from an ex-player who he doesn't have any, like, he doesn't have to say that. Like, that's not, he could just as easily say nothing or the opposite. So to hear that from Shawne Merriman, so freaking special. And yeah, hey, Patriots still suck. Got to deal with it. Shawne Merriman said so. So again, Shawne, thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully we get you back out here in the future. We'd love to have you back. And now, folks, it's time to look on over to Coach's Classroom. Let's see what Coach has on the itinerary for today. All right, folks, you heard it. It's time for another rendition of Coach's Classroom. Coach has got another play to break down for us this Friday episode. Coach, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, so over this past week, I don't remember who released it exactly, but somebody came out with the stat that the Chargers were the lowest blitzing like percentage in all of the NFL.
It's true.
And like when you watch a game, I'm like, yeah, we don't blitz a lot, but I didn't know it was that drastic how little that we did. So I wanted to go through a game, kind of look at what blitzes are for some of our audience if they're just not extremely familiar with what that term even means, and also what it can look like and how it can be an advantage to our team, because there's no way that we're going to be 32nd in the league again. Did you guys see where the Rams ranked on that list?
Boy, I sure don't recall.
I don't remember, but it wasn't
definitely
32nd.
Higher than us.
Yeah, it had to be higher than us.
So the blitzing percentage will go up. So I thought it would be fun to look a little bit about like kind of how blitzing scheme works, how you can adjust it and how things look a little bit different. But first I wanted to give us a little refresher on where we're coming from with Gus Bradley. There's also been a lot of talk about Gus over the last couple of weeks in his play calling. So I went through and watched the first half of week 2 last year against the Chiefs, playing against arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and wanted to see what we would do to try to bring some different looks. Maybe we did pressure him a little bit more. Sure as shit, that wasn't the case. I didn't find a single blitz in the first half until a minute left in the half.
Oh shit!
So what I did see was we got real creative here a couple of times leading up to that. So this first clip that I have pulled up here, it's also a fun look because this is a little bit more of what we're going to get used to seeing in our new defense. You might get a better look. Might be a better look from behind. Let me see if it looks any different.
Charger chat after dark.
Everyone likes that view from behind a little bit.
That's a new segment idea. Adam, we'll have to run with that later.
Let's see. Okay, so when you look at our defense here, you can see that we have 3 linemen with their hand in the ground. You have Tillery over there. I believe this is Justin Jackson. And then you have Joey Bosa.
Justin Jones?
Justin Jones. No,
we have a running back
on nose guard. Yeah. Justin Jones.
Real creative.
Oh, yeah. Real exotic. So we have 3 down linemen. So this is what we should get used to seeing a little bit more. These 3 guys, both these guys are in 5 to 7 techniques, and then a 0, meaning he's head up on the center. Then you have your 3 linebackers here kind of roaming around. Now, it's not really like anything different from a personnel perspective per se, right? Because this is Melvin Ingram. So normally Tillery would just be in here and Melvin would be lined up here to start.
Okay.
But to give a little bit different look, instead of having to blitz, which Gus clearly did not want to do, all he did was simply move guys around. So this is, for us last year, this was us being exotic and creative. All we did was these guys have their normal pass rush lanes coming off the edge, keeping the quarterback in the pocket. He's going to pick a side. And then Melvin kind of has a free rush. So he can pick wherever he really wants to go. Now, for our new base defense, this is part of what makes it more creative, is you have the opportunity to only bring 4, but you don't know where the 4th one is coming from. Could it be Kaiser blitzing and then your other linebacker drops? Could it be Kenneth Murray, hopefully now being able to blitz a little bit more? Or is it Melvin? Like, you don't know which of these 3 is going to be that 4th rusher. For us last year, this was as creative as it gets. For our new defense, this is kind of what the base should look like most of the time. So as we run it, I'll show you guys just It's really not all that much movement, but it just gives you a little bit different look, something that the offense has to at least take into account and be aware of. So Melvin gets to move around, kind of mess with the offensive line a little bit. It's obviously a little bit of fun for him too. And then he gets to stunt last second. He does it too early, and it kind of becomes a weak pass rush. But that's the idea, is that you have three. You don't know where the fourth one's coming from. And in all honesty, this is pretty much the only pass rush adjustment that we made for the whole first half. And luckily we had Joey Bosa, so you get a little bit of pressure no matter what. But when we look here at the end of the half, so we finally decided, well, they did this three or so times throughout the first half, this 3-man front with Melvin Ingram kind of running around doing what he wants. But it wasn't until the end of the first half that we saw an actual blitz come. Let me find it here. It's way down here. After the 2-minute warning at a minute 05. So right here is where we're going to get our first look at an actual blitz coming from.
So sad.
It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. So what I mean by blitz, so when I went through and watched what I was looking for.
Should we go behind? Should we go behind again?
Always.
Always. There's no better way.
So again, here, we're going to get this
softball.
Yeah. What you're going to get again is kind of this 3-man look, right? This time it's 3 different players, but you still have that kind of 3 defensive lineman look, because you have 1 on the edge, a 0 technique on the center. This technique is the number. So a 0 would be head up, a 1 would be in the shade, a 2-eye, a 2, a 3, so on and so forth. So you have a 0, and then you have these 2 outside techniques. Now, these guys are all linebackers, right? Kaiser, Denzel, Uchenna, they're all linebackers. So we don't know if 1 is going to blitz, if 2 are going to blitz, if all 3 are going to blitz. We don't know. You can't tell just by looking. So it's more of a fun, don't know what's coming, because we've run this a couple times with Melvin in here and he kind of picks, but now you have more athletic guys that are now able to play and do a whole lot of different things. Like, for the most part, Melvin's not going to drop into coverage with what he did last year. So now when you line up and you see this, we have 5 very dynamic guys to rush the passer, and we don't know who's coming. So as they line up to the ball, they're getting their checks, who's going where are we bumping to? So Denzel's walked all the way up to the line of scrimmage. Now he comes off. We have Rayshon even looking like he's maybe moving around. And then at the snap of the ball, everyone starts to come. Everyone's twisting. I'll show you a couple here. So we end up blitzing all 3 of them.
Wow.
So this is what pressure looks like. And you better believe that Patrick Mahomes knows right away, oh, hell, there's a lot of people in my face all of a sudden. So even if you're able to do that every once in a while to get people in his face, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys coming after him. He knows that there's pressure coming. So what it does is you're now man-to-man behind, no doubt about it. You're in all-man coverage. And I will say this was a very gutsy call for Gus. He gets a lot of crap, but we didn't take enough chances, but he did take a chance. We were winning in the first half. I think we were up 10-7 at this point. It's 1 minute left in the first half, and they were trying to drive. We decided to blitz everyone on 3rd down. And this is why you see this. You're like, man, why don't we do that more often? Bring some pressure. And you allow Chris Harris to be man-on-man at Kelsey, and he gets the job done. But what's really fun is you watch some of the things. It's not just a blitz, it's not just he has this gap, he has this gap, he has this gap, and they go fill the unfilled holes, I guess you would say. But what happons is Coach's classroom, we'll coach a lot of things here.
Coach's classroom after dark.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with this pass rush. So let me bring it back. We'll look just at Denzel. And I'm not sure who's there at the nose guard right now. Oh, it's Tillery. So you got a lot of pass rushers here on the line of scrimmage. So what they're going to do is they're going to run a little twist. So he's going to start head up, twist to this A gap, and then Denzel's going to work inside. Here, Melvin has a free rush. He gets to pick if he wants to go inside or outside. So he's going to attack straight on first, and then he comes outside. When he goes outside, now Kaiser has the open lane to come inside. Again, over on this side, Joey and Uchenna are both coming. Joey looks like he's coming on the outside, but he's going to slant down, and Uchenna is now coming off the edge. So all of these guys, there's 6 of them in the box. They all got to know who they're getting with all this movement all coming at the same time. So I'll show it to you again as with now having seen all of that. So you can kind of see, I'll put it in full speed so you can see what it looks like when everything's moving. Just
wow,
a whole
Joey
bunch
like cuts all the way in.
All the way across. Yeah,
Yeah.
he creates that big open seam for Uchenna to have a really nice big open pass lane. Because with Joey going that far inside, Uchenna now has a 2-way go. So if
and he
had
gets a
come
shot on Mahomes too.
Yeah. So if Joey had just come real tight, now he only has a 1-way go. But because Joey comes all the way across, you can see how much open space the tackle is just sitting there with Uchenna. And Uchenna really has a 2-way go. He could go inside or outside because of how far down Joey goes.
Wow, yeah.
So there's a lot to it instead of just let's line up 4 guys and hope they get to the quarterback. So this is hopefully exciting. It's not to say that Gus when he did it, it worked. He just didn't do it enough. He didn't want to take those chances all the time to have Chris Harris running with Travis Kelce, which I understand. It's sometimes scary, but you got to take those chances in the NFL to make big plays. So it's something that's fun. I think that we have to look forward to in this next season is bring a little bit more pressure like that.
Awesome.
That's super exciting, dude. That's crazy to see the players play in that style like that differently. Like with the talk from Staley talking about creating these little wrinkles for some of these types of plays, like that's so exciting now to see some of these guys that are so talented in multiple positions. Like they're very flexible in different positions. So to know that that's the type of guys that we hired and that those are the possibilities for these types of plays, I can't help but be super excited for that. That's going to be fun to watch the defense.
Quick question, Kyle. Like when it comes to like you being a player and playing, pretty high level high school football, like when you're not blitzing as a linebacker or one of these guys, like what does that say to you from like the coaching staff? Like they're not letting you like go after it. You know what I mean? Like what does that do to a defense not being able to have those opportunities?
Yeah, I think one, it could just say that they have a lot of faith in their defensive lineman to get to the quarterback. 2, from a play caller's perspective, it just says that they're conservative. I don't think it says like, oh, I don't trust that linebacker to be able to get there, or I don't think that he's going to be able to do it. I think it more just goes back to the philosophy of the defense. And we have played a very conservative, don't give up big plays, don't get beat deep kind of defense. So, and that's just not what Staley does. Staley's going to take chances.
Yeah, this segment's been anything but conservative. So good one, Coach.
Trying to get on board with our new scheme.
Yeah, love it.
I friggin' love it, dude. Well, thank you, Kyle the Coach Duggan, for another riveting episode of Coach's Classroom. Hopefully you learned a little something today. But that's pretty much going to do it for us here at Charger Chat for this Friday episode. Again, don't forget to go to chargerchat.com to check out when we get the merch going up there. The website's up and running. You can definitely go check it out right now. But we will get the merch up and running ASAP. We'll let you guys know on Twitter and all our social media aspects once we get the merchandise officially up and running. But we're trying to get up as quickly as possible. It's pretty exciting, folks. I can't express how excited I am to see Charger Chat on clothing, on things. Like that's just going to blow my mind. So again, folks, that's going to do it for us here. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place. Okay, love you. Bye.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Lights Out Used Car Lot. If you think you got the nuts to buy a new car this weekend, shut your fucking mouth and come on down to Lights Out Used Car Lot. We got Oldsmobiles. Yeah. We got Ferraris. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Every car is $5,600. Holy shit. That's right, $5,600. Kelly Blue Book, shove it up your ugly ass. Carfax, shove it up your ugly ass. So come on down to Lights Out Cars. If you think you can find a better deal, go fuck yourself.